Hello everyone, just going to update my video blog. Here we are at Belfast Castle. You can see the lock in the background, you can see some of the castle grounds and indeed the castle directly over my right shoulder. I'm going to combine as I have done before, a wee bit of the kind of local tourist attractions in Belfast along with a bit of a geopolitical update on what's happening in the world, and I've decided today to chat about Syria. Partly because I've actually been there on 5 different occasions. I went through Syria in 2010 as part of the Viva Palestina medical aid convoy that was organised by George Galloway. I left Belfast along with some other guys from the north of Ireland. We went via Dublin to London, then London over to Paris, and from Paris over the mountains down to Turin in Italy, then to Ancona, where we got a ferry to Thessalonica in Greece. From Greece we went through to Turkey, Istanbul, and then I think it was Ankara. I wouldn't swear to it. We stopped at the grave of Durkan Fogan. He was an American Turkish medical student, doctor. His dream was to cure blindness in Africa. That dream died on the Mavi Marmara boat when Israeli terrorist naval marines stormed the boat in international waters as it tried to get to Gaza to break the siege and murdered 9 people on the boat, which was really a catalyst for the reason why myself and many others went on this convoy. So we went through Turkey, we went to Damascus, and then we went to a Palestinian refugee camp in Latakia, where we had to wait for 15 days. Now this was 2010, and Mubarak was the then dictator in Egypt, and we had to wait 15 days in Camp Rumela, Philistine, the Palestinian refugee camp in Latakia. After 15 days we were given permission to go to Al Arish and then on to Rafah and cross over into Gaza, and I got there on my birthday, which was the 21st of October 2010. So just to show you some of the background here with the lock, if you can see it there. It's a very beautiful day here, very cold, but that's what happens in March. We're having a wee cold snap and there was expected snow last night. So I was in Syria in 2010. I was back again in 2000 and I think it was 12 or 13 on the second convoy, which was Bradford to Gaza. And we went through, this was after the Western inspired war on Syria of 2011. So we went through, actually roadside bombs went off on the main road to Damascus as we entered. We all gave blood in the various donation points where people were trying to help the wounded, just the sun shining in my eyes. And then I was there again for the World Federation of Trade Unions. I think it was 2017 and 2019. And again I went on a kind of solo journey in 2020. I went to Beirut. Then I got a taxi from Beirut down to Damascus. So I've been in Syria 5 times. I know the history. I have friends there. And speaking of the history of Syria, Syria was part of the Ottoman Empire for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years prior to the First World War. Then under the Sykes-Picot Agreement between the French and the British, they carved up what they called the Middle East, what many people call West Asia, into areas of influence for the British and for the French, which was really just their imperialism and their resource theft of everything that belonged to the people in the region. So Palestine came under the British mandate, I think so did Iraq and Egypt, and Syria became part of the French mandate in 1923. It didn't succeed to reach its full autonomy as a sovereign state, not under the Ottoman Empire and not under the French Empire. In 1945-46 when it became one of the founding members of the United Nations. So the capital, Damascus, and one of the cities that was devastated by the Western war using ISIS in their proxy war against the Syrian Arab Republic, the Ba'athist Socialist Republic of Syria. The Syrians only got their independence in 1945, 1946. There were several coups that took part or came into being over the several kind of decades after. But eventually General Assad took power in the 1960s, I think it was. And then his son, Bashar al-Assad, took over in 2000 after his death. Now, Bashar al-Assad was actually a eye surgeon in London. So Western educated, very respectable person, very moral person of very high personal integrity, to my mind. So what we had was then in 2011, you see, Syria was always a bulwark to the Zionist expansionist dreams and designs of the Israeli apartheid terrorist regime. And as such, I've met President Assad twice. I'm very proud to be able to say that. I actually give him a copy of my book, My Walk with Palestine, which you can get on Amazon Books. He told people on the delegation that I was with, the trade union delegation, that many times Syria had been approached by the West, by America and others, to desist from being part of the axis of resistance within West Asia, to normalise relations with Israel, and to basically no longer be a threat to Western imperialist designs within the region. Now, he's just one individual, but it was the Ba'athist Party and it was the Socialist Republic of Syria that refused to bow the knee and kowtow to the Western intrigue. There's the castle in the background. It's very beautiful, isn't it? That's actually the second Belfast castle. The first one was burnt down by the British, I believe, in Belfast city centre, near Castle Lane. As you can imagine, Castle Lane, named after the castle. But just to quickly bring this back up again, so in 2011, Syria refused to normalise relationships with Israel. They refused to bow down before American, French, British, German, Israeli imperialism, and decided to continue to work with the axis of resistance in the region, which would be Iran. Also keep Palestine a front and centre of its political foreign policy, where it demanded the Palestinians be allowed to have their own sovereign nation, to be free from the illegal Israeli Zionist terrorist occupation, and for the people of Palestine to be able to live in peace with dignity in their own country, in their own homes, in peace and in safety. And you always have to respect that has been the backbone of the Ba'athist socialist regime and the Syrian Arab Republic in West Asia. So, having refused to bow the knee, tug the forelock before American hegemony, they were told that the price for that would be basically an attack upon Syria, which is what happened. ISIS was formed mainly was it Takfiri? I don't know if it was Takfiri or Salafist or a combination of some of these really brutal fundamentalists who were armed, trained, financed by America and by the likes of Saudi Arabia in their attack upon the Syrian Republic. So from 2011 on, what you've had is a proxy war, financed, as I say, by the West, to dislodge, to destroy, and to dismember the Syrian Arab Republic as a bulwark against the Zionist expansionist ideas and dreams within the region. So as part of that then Iran and Russia came to the aid of Syria. Now this is because had Syria fallen to these Salafist, Takfiri fundamentalists, Wahhabi, that's what it is, because it was basically Saudi Arabian inspired, led group of like cutthroats and bandits and murderers. These people then went on to, they tried to destroy Syria. They destroyed Aleppo, there's no doubt about that. There are still tens of thousands of them in and around Idlib. Syria has basically been balkanized, and 1/3 of it is occupied by either the Americans, who are stealing the oil and the wheat, the natural resources of the Syrian people. We also have, who else is there? The Turks, although there seems to be a rapprochement, yes, coming between Turkey and Syria. And then that leaves the terrorists in and around Idlib, some backed by Turkey, some backed by Saudi Arabia, all basically working for the benefit of America and Israel, and not for the benefit of the Syrian people. There's a beautiful wee staircase there. It brings up to the back of the castle. A lot of people have their weddings here, their wedding receptions. It's very beautiful in the gardens and in the surrounds, which I'm trying to show here in the background. So Syria has stood mainly because Iran came to its aid, because Iran knows had Syria fallen, ISIS was easier going to be sent in to attack Iran. And Russia went in because they were concerned that these fundamentalists would then go to the Caucasus, back into places like Georgia and Chechnya, and another round of attacks, imperialist, hegemonic attacks upon the Russian Federation. So Russia and Iran, for their own selfish interests, but I mean, I don't have an issue with that, came to defend Syria. So Syria has survived. But I mean, they've only got electricity 3 hours a day, and people are going hungry. It's hard to, rebuild whenever the Caesar sanctions are there, which, these American unilateral coercive measures. They call them sanctions, I call them siege. They're trying to starve the people into submission. And it's very difficult. I mean, they can't get cement, they can't get building material. Very, very, very difficult for a government and a president that genuinely, in my mind, has the desires and needs and hopes of the Syrian people at the forefront of their internal policy to rebuild the country and to create more safety for the people living there. So the Syrians have paid a high price for standing beside the Palestinians. And the Palestinians are getting murdered day by day in their own homes, on their own land. Settler violence, IDF violence, governmental violence. It's a very, 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 very sad state of affairs. I hope to return and visit Syria soon. I have friends there. I am emotionally invested in Syria because I've been there on several occasions. And as someone who aspires to believe in the nobility of people standing in solidarity with oppressed people, I'd also like to visit Iran, to return to the West Bank, where I've been 3 times, and maybe return to Gaza, where I haven't been since 2010. So it's just an update. A lot of people don't know what's happening in Syria, what it's all about. Basically, Syria gained its freedom from the French in 1945, 1946. The Ba'athist Socialist Republic was born in 1960, 1961. Damascus and Aleppo are 2 of the oldest cities that have been continuously inhabited. So it gives you an idea of the architecture, the history and the culture of Aleppo and Damascus and Syria. And Syria is home to Alawites, it is home to Sunni Muslims, it is home to Christians, the Yazidis, and it is home to several other religious sects where people live in peace, or did live in peace and harmony, before the country was torn apart. So what happened in Dara in 2011, which was supposed to be part of the Arab Spring and the removal of a brutal dictatorship, was nothing of the sort. It was foreign mercenaries, armed and financed, put into the country, using peaceful protests to attack the infrastructure of Syria, murder Syrian soldiers and police officers who are part of the civilian infrastructure, and destroy the state from within. So it's forerunner to Ukraine, forerunner to Donbass, forerunner to Zelensky and his Nazi POW murdering thugs that the West is backing and telling us are all heroes, which they aren't. So from Belfast Castle on a beautiful sunny afternoon, I'm going to say goodbye and catch you all later. Bye.